Mr. Njie, welcome to Issues That Matter.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for having me. Yes, you're right. I'm actually the Director of Tourism Promotion of the Gambia Tourism Board in the UK, and I'm responsible for the UK market, Ireland, Central and Eastern Europe. And of course, I'm sure you're aware that I was the Director of Marketing for 10 years at the head office. So I just moved to the UK 2 years ago to actually consolidate and nurture our gains and get closer to our partners in this part of the world. So thanks for having me, Ibrahim.
Thank you so much, Mr. Njie. We've been hearing about Homecoming Roots Festival in other parts of the African continent. When you look at Gambia, we have the Roots movie, the award-winning Roots movie, Kunta Kinteh, shipped from the Gambia to the diaspora here in America, to be specific. What is the Gambia doing about Roots Festival to make it bigger and have more impact?
Thank you, Ibrahim. I think I'm sure you are fully aware that the last one we had was, I think, in 20 before the election of the current presidency. I think if I remember, we had one in 2014, which was the success story of it. That was when we had the likes of Mutabarak and Sisla invited to come and contribute. But you're right. I think Roots Festival is a mark, it's a branding for Gambia. I think if you look at everything that we do about Brand Gambia, I think there is one that always stands out, and that's the Kunta Kinteh, which is the Roots Festival you're talking about. I think since we have the new dispensation, I think we have not done anything on the Roots Festival. But I can tell you behind the scenes, we're working towards revamping it because we believe that it is uh, it is a mark that we cannot allow to go like that. And the reason why I'm saying that is this is where the diasporans want to reconnect back to their roots. And the only way you can do that is they have to have something that when they come, they can feel that they are back home. That's what the diaspora is all about. And I think I'm sure you can see the likes of Ghana have taken a lot from the experience that we had as a country. But I think it is important for us now as a country to actually bring back the resources because currently we are doing a lot of things behind the scenes where the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, the Gambia Tourism, and the National Center for Arts and Culture, who are the custodians of the cultural heritage of the country. And Rus is actually part of it. So now I'm fully aware that even the even the American government is actually endorsed for a grant to support to revamp the island, the Kunta Kinte Island, because I'm sure you are aware that it's actually been eroded by erosion. So they are working on it. And also just last week, we got some diasporans in the UK, and we deputy ambassador of the Gambian embassy in the UK, where my office is, represented the Gambia, represented the embassy. They have also raised funds to actually revamp the island and of course the Roots Festival. And I think if you look at the Roots Festival, there are so many things that was part of it, and we have to bring it back because all the cultures in the country were showcased during the period of the Roots Festival from different regions in the country. And I'm sure you are aware that we are well known as a small country, but a rich culture that we have as the Smiling Coast. And I think for me, as a staff and as an insider, I can guarantee you, and I can guarantee diaspora that we are working towards bring back the glory of this festival, because I mean the way have already been paid for us. I'm sure, like you mentioned earlier, anywhere I go in the UK, when I meet the diasporans, the first thing I talk about is, have you ever heard about the Roots, the Alex Haley book, the Alex Haley movie? And everybody say, yeah, and this is our identity. And we have to embrace it. I think whatever we have, whatever you mentioned about the Smart Coast of the Gambia, whatever you mentioned about the River Gambia, mentioned about the heritage sites, if Kunta Kinte and the Roots doesn't stand out, we actually miss it now because it is ours and we have to embrace it. And if you don't do that, other countries are going to take advantage of that, when we as the constitution are not taken over, and that has to be quickly eliminated so that we will not miss out. And I'm sure you are a living witness that during the Rasus festival, many diasporans were given passports. And that's why when I see Ghana doing it, I say, okay, but we actually started it. And it is high time for us as a country. But I can tell you, Ibrahim, we are very cognizant of the importance of the American market. We are very cognizant of the importance of the diasporan market. That is why, as we speak now, we are working on a strategy document for the next 5 years in support from the support of the World Bank to actually help us. Because I'm sure you're aware that marketing is not cheap. It's a very expensive activity. And if my memory serves me right, there was a World Bank project we had, which phased out around 2015, 2016. And since then, anything you see or showcase in Gambia is from our own coffers. So if we have a World Bank project to support us, it means we will have more funds to do more with the mega resources we have currently. You understand? And I think to give an example also, the American market is so important to us that we have even done a study briefly. It is very clear that multi-million dollar individuals are in the US who have disposable income, and those are the people that want to invest back to Africa, to give back. So this is a market that we cannot miss out. And that's why for the past 2 years, Gambia has been participating in the US, in Miami, precise. We have attended for this is the second year now. We have attended the cruise trade fair in Miami. The reason why we are doing that, we are not participating much in the US, but we have seen the importance of the US market. If you look at certain countries or certain states in the US, it's even closer for them to take a direct flight. Okay, let me give an example. Baltimore, for instance. We can even, you can even have a flight that will come from Baltimore straight to Banjul. What is stopping us from that? We need to work as a country to make sure that it is a reality. Because the study is already there. It's just for us to start implementing it and make it a reality. It is also very clear from Miami. It's very close to Gambia. You understand? So these are things that we have to look at. And I can tell you, Ibrahim, be rest assured that within the 2 years, we have realized how important the American market, because if we have the US market, it's going to serve as a buffer to our traditional market, as you are aware, because our traditional market is actually mainland Europe. But if you have the US market coming in, where you have cruise liners, etc., and work with the airlines to see how best we can see, like the likes of American airlines or the likes of Delta, if they can fly to the car, what can we do as a country for them to extend to Banjul? Because interestingly, if you look at the likes of Jufure and Gore, I have been to Gore, and there's nothing that Gore is showcasing that Gambia don't have it authentic. But there's one thing that is having a leverage on Senegal than Gambia is air access. And we have to work on that as a country.
Okay. Before we move further, I just wanted to for you to throw some perspective about some of the challenges that you may have to overcome first before we invite investors to come in. There's been concerns about insecurity within the tourism sector. Some diasporans, mainly from America and the UK, have were involved in some serious incidents, like such as stabbing or killing. What are you doing to ensure that these things become a thing of the past in order to invite big-time investors who may be scared away by these unfortunate incidents?
Thank you, Ibrahim. I think as a board, I'm sure you're aware that Gambia is among if not the only country in West Africa or even in Africa where you have a tourism security unit. a designated police department responsible for the security of our tourists. If you go to the TDA, we call the Tourism Security Unit. They operate 24 hours. They also have secret police among them. We even created even a toll number where if there's an emergency, you can call the number and it will be responded to. I think when it comes to security, it's very unfortunate that these are isolated incidents that we have in the country. And I think, yes, it is bad because one incident of a security gap is not good for any country. So the government of the Gambia is working closely with the Minister of Tourism and Culture, is working closely with the GT board, but there is a lot that needs to be done. And I think without security, you don't talk about tourism, to be honest, because tourism, the number one pillar of tourism is security. Because nobody wants to leave their home to come to a country where they feel scared. Then there'll be no investment. But I can tell you, despite we have these isolated incidents, the country is still a safe haven for investors. That one I can guarantee you that. But I can tell you very clearly that our terrorism security unit is working closely with all the security apparatus in the Gambia. That is why we have a 24 hours patrol within the TDA. And it is very clear, yes, we cannot do it all as a board. The TSU cannot do it all. It should be all hands on deck. That is why we are doing more sensitization to the public. That look, the only thing that we know, apart from agriculture, is tourism. We live on tourism. So that's why we have this weekly radio show at West Coast Radio, where thematic issues are discussed. And we even have a partnership with GRTS, where we will sensitize people that listen, tourism is our bread and butter. We have to secure it. We have to be, we have to protect it. And the only way we can protect it, we have to be police to each other. Because whether you like it or not, even in the Western world, despite the fact they have the best security apparatus, sometimes there are gaps. But those are the gaps that citizens of that country can help by ensuring that we respect the rules and regulations of the country. Whoever is coming to the country should be securely checked. And I think when we do that, we can go back to the glory where we have zero incidents in terms of tourists being attacked. But it's very unfortunate, and I can tell you the government is constantly working towards zero rise in crime in the country.
Yeah, what about the issue of the security themselves? There is a lot of interest in the tourism sector because for some people it's the get rich quick scheme where you chance on a tourist and the chance for you to fly to Europe or America are easier because some of these tourists are really wealthy individuals. So what are you doing to make sure there is a proper scrutiny and to ensure that tourists are safe? Because some of them make viral videos on YouTube and social media, which is really a turn off for other individuals who may be considering coming to destination Gambia.
Okay, I think Ibrahim, as a board, I can tell you, we don't joke with any incident that is negative. Even the videos you are talking about, the moment we get them, whatever is in those videos. Okay, I can give you an example. There was an incident that happened where the tourists mentioned about an incident at the airport. Our team went and met the airport authorities and sat with them. Because you see, security starts from the airport, by the way. The first port of entry, if the security has a lapse, then it has a trickle-down effect. And what we do as a board, we have tourism stakeholders where civil aviation, GIA are partners, and all the airport authority stakeholders are partners. That is why before any season starts, we have a tete-a-tete and frank discussion of the way we should embrace ourselves from the airport or any point of entry to our country. We, as a board, our job, our mandate is to promote Destination Gambia, as you know. That's our mandate, to market Destination Gambia as a safe haven, as the best place to visit, the best place to invest. But we have stakeholders that they have to do their job. And that is the airport, where you have the immigration, where you have the customs, where you have the SIS, where you have the police, and where you have the even GCAA security personnel. So that is, because the way tourism operate, it is a chain. Along the line, if there is a gap in any of the chain, it has an effect on everything we have done. And we have made it very clear to the officers at the airport and at the borders that we need to embrace ourselves. You see, if we sit down and say we are the smiling coast of Africa, there's a reason. It's our hospitality, it's our friendliness, it's our safety. These three pillars have to be respected, not only by the GT board, but all the stakeholders that are directly or indirectly working on tourism. But I can tell you, we have a close collaboration, because even at the board level, civil aviation is a board member to the Gambia Tourism Board of Directors. The reason why we do that, we did not do that by accident, because they are the custodian of the airport. If they are at the level of the board, because all these challenges that we have, we always discuss it at the management and at the board level. And we are not taking it for granted. Because if security is compromised, safety is compromised, there is no tourism. There is no tourism. But I can tell you, Ibrahim, we are working tirelessly with our stakeholders to make sure that, because every year what we do is we assess the impact. What are the positives? How can we improve the positives? What are the gaps? What are the negative things? That's why we have the exit customer service survey. We have a unit called the statistics unit at the Gambia Tourism Board. Their job is to monitor the arrival numbers and also have an exit survey of how satisfied our tourists are. Yes, you are right. There are some surveys we do, whether it's a 1% or 2%, there is a gap. And it is through that gap that we use it and sit with all the stakeholders that our tourists are complaining. Some of them are saying A, B, C needs to change. We cannot do it alone, but they have a role to play, because they know one thing. If tourism collapses in the Gambia, trust me, the airport will be useless. If tourism collapses in the Gambia, there is no forex for the country. If tourism collapses in the Gambia, there is no employment. So these three pillars, both the G2 board, both the Ministry of Tourism, and even the central government is embracing it, because they know that we can afford it. I'm sure, like you mentioned before we start, you have seen the report of the millions of dollars that tourism is bringing to the economy. And we cannot allow that, to die down.
Yes, according to the World Bank,
Yeah.
$1.4 billion was contributed towards the GDC, representing 10% of the total economy in 2023. This is not a small figure.
Right. It's not a small figure. So obviously the government is aware, the central bank is aware, and we are all aware of that. Trust me, Ibrahim, tourism is so important to the country that even during the lean season, you see people are disoriented because something is missing. And that's tourism. It's only tourism that will come and you see the smiles of everybody, because activities are happening. Friendly atmosphere, is re-energized to the people. But after 6 months or 7 months, you see how things are dull. And that's why, as a board, we are working to close the gap of the season. That is why, as a board, we're encouraging more scheduled flights to be coming to the Gambia. And I will come to that later, because I believe as a country, we need to look into air access. It's critical. Because if we have the tour operators that operate for 6 months, for instance, after 6 months, they will use other routes that are closer to their point of departure, where they will make more money, because airlines is all about business. It's business. It's about, gaining revenue from it. If we have the likes of Brussels Airlines, the likes of Air Maroc flying constant and more coming, and even as a country, there is no harm in looking into, can we have a JV with other carriers? Can we use other carriers to be our flag bearer. Because what happens is, during the lean period, we have so many ethnic travelers that want to go to the Gambia. But that is a time where most of the tourist flights have ceased operation. So if we can have something that will mitigate that gap in terms of air access, trust me, the country will still continue to see more ethnic travelers, more tourists coming to the Gambia at a very moderate air fares for the country. So for me, as a staff of the GT board, I think the government need to look closely and see how best we could have on air access to mitigate the gap after the cease of operation of the tour operators flights to the country.
Talking about marketing brand Gambia, apart from the sun, and then the sea, what other potential do you have in mind to market the Gambia? Because for
Oh
far
no,
the three areas, the three S.
no, Ibrahim, we have moved from those three as a long time because those are called the traditional way of marketing. We have moved from that. I think when we market the Gambia in totality. And when you market the country in totality as the smiling coast of Africa, we have niche products, and I can name names for you. We have more than 550 bird species in the country. You cannot see that anywhere in Africa. So birders, if they want to see rare species of birds, you come to the Gambia. 550 species of birds. And that's why one of the niche products for Gambia is called a paradise for bird watchers. As we speak now, Gambia is going to attend the Rutland Bird Fair, which is, if not the biggest bird fair event in the world, which is normally is going to be in the UK, in Rutland, we will participate with our Bird Watchers Association members. Two, River Gambia is an amazing asset that we have, although it is still underutilized. But bear in mind, as a board and as a ministry and a government, we are looking into potential investors who can invest into vessels to have a nice view from the port of Banjul to Jufure. Ibrahim, when you use the River Gambia, it's one of the, it's the most navigable river in the world. Where you can see the creeks as you go along. You see dolphins, jumping all over the place. The River Gambia is another niche product. Thirdly, we have a lot in terms of cultural exchange. Like you mentioned, the diaspora market is here. The cultural exchange is a niche product where diasporans can come and learn from their ancestors, the authentic history of our country. We can also do the same thing and come and learn from what slave trade have brought, both the positive and the negative, or both ways. You understand?
Okay.
And also,
let me interject. Let me jump in here a few seconds. I had an interview with Njie, the economist, and also the historian Hasum Sise on the River Gambia, the potential for the River Gambia. And I agree with you. They all said the River Gambia is seriously underutilized. Young even suggested the need for the GTB to have floating casinos. The River Gambia is navigable from Basse, from Banjul to Koina. Why can't the GTB try to look inward? Maybe there are some local talents or potential that you can incorporate to see how you can make optimal use of the River Gambia.
No, I totally agree with you, and I totally agree with Nyang. But you see, I think also we have to understand the mandate of the Gambia Tourism Board. Our mandate is like I mentioned earlier, is to market destination of Gambia as the best and the ideal destination for tourists, the ideal place for investing in tourism. As we speak now, we are working any trade fair we attend, any mission we go. What we look for is how can we get people to come and utilize with the right resources, with the right product, so that we can utilize the River Gambia, which is underutilized. Currently, I can fully remember that last year we got some investors who were interested. For one reason, it failed along the way. But we are open, both local and international, to see. Because if you go to River Gambia right now, you have many local boats that our Gambian brothers and sisters are using. I'm sure you're aware, which we can use to go to likes of Lamin Lodge and Dufresne. But we have to migrate from that. We need standard vessels or standard boats that not even within the River Gambia. We can even go all the way to Dakar, all the way to Casamas and back. So that will bring the River Gambia to come to where we want it to be. And that is why GT Board is asking any investor who want to invest in the Gambia, one of the first things we talk about, I mean, apart from the river, even marinas. If we have marinas along the River Gambia, it's fantastic. We have been looking for investors for years now, for those who want to come and build marinas in our country. Unfortunately, I'm sure you're aware, there was one vessel we were having. Unfortunately, it sank, and there was another one that is out of service. And since then, we don't have anyone to come forward and says we want listing. But trust me, as a board, we are working closely with our partners to make sure that we get the right people to come and invest in our river, because it is really underutilized. And I cannot agree with you, and I cannot agree with Njie either. It's a fact. It's a fact. But I can tell you, we are not stopping. We are always engaging both local and international to see who can we partner to make sure that we can cap. And I can tell you, even today, if we have the resources, what is stopping from GT Board even to have a vessel to do that? But the resources, as I told you from the beginning, is not enough. So hopefully when we get this World Bank project, maybe you might be able to see, where we will be able to partner with somebody, if it is practical, to actually look into that. But River Gambia is a game changer for us.
Some have even gone further to suggest that talking about air access, once you get that done and ready, some have even gone to suggest that you can add, visible messages or audio messages while you are landing in the Gambia, that this is smiling coast of the Gambia, something that will entice even those who are on transit or those who are actually landing there, or maybe they are not tourists, but maybe they would be enticed by captivating messages.
No, I totally agree with you. But guess what, Ibrahim? You see, the way that message you have mentioned, even if you go to Brussels Airlines, if you go to Brussels Airlines, even if you go to their visual section, there's a video about Gambia. I'm just giving you an example of Brussels Airlines. Other market activities that we do. Okay, let me give an example in the UK here. When we do marketing with our partners, let me give an example, Gambia Experience or TWI. We always try to make sure that we have strong position of messages sent so that people can see. Example, the airports. I remember last year, we even did some billboards at the airport, specifically in Gatwick, both South and North Terminal, where we were working in partnership with Gambia Experience to actually showcase the Gambia. But I couldn't agree with you more. When we have the carriers, we should be able to have messages, not only before they land. Even it should be a section that even before they take off, this is something about the Gambia. But guess what? We have so many proposals, and I will be very clear here. We have some proposals from top airlines that want to do exactly what you are saying. But guess what? Some of the cost that they give us is so high, and even when we negotiate, is either too high to fit in, yeah, in our budget. Because like I said, I'm very hopeful that with the World Bank coming in now, we should be able to expand and do more, because it's all about cost. And if you don't have a support, you have to work around the mechanisms that you have. That's why we are doing a lot of presence in our social media platform. Currently, the World Bank support is even revamping our website to be another top-notch website which you can compare with any website in the world. If it is ready, I'll be more than happy to share it with you so you can also look at it critically and give us your feedbacks. You understand? But we are very strong in social media, although we can still do more. But I agree with you. It comes back to what you said. Air access should not only do just take over land. We should be able to actually inject some more features in it in terms of visualization. And I totally agree with you 100%.
Talking about the issue of steel marketing brand Gambia, some years back, well, when you talk about the cost implication for the airline, that the money they are asking for, well, everything in life is costly. It depends
Thank you.
where you want to go in for it.
Mhm.
Some years back during the Jammeh era, there was this, you know fully well, by then you are still in the GT board. You spend some money on CNN. It was a lot of money, but I mean, tell me if I am wrong, but that those things didn't pay dividend those years.
Thank you very much for saying. But guess what? That I totally. But guess what? That was the time we have the support from the World Bank. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. We even went forward and even did Euro News. It paid dividend. But because if you look at the cost, it was so high that if we had gone that solo, we would have had some serious operational issues. That's why when the World Bank came, that's why I reiterate the fact that I'm glad that you have mentioned those points. And trust me, it's in our minds that if this World Bank project kicks in, these are things that we have to bring on board. Because if they're here to complement our efforts, we should be able to go bigger. Am I right? And that time, what you mentioned was the fact it was a World Bank support at that time because it was in the millions. Because you see, I mean, Ibrahim, we also have to do something. I'm sure every management, your first issue is you have to stabilize your operations. Am I right? After the operations, because GT board is not, we're not here to make profit. We're here to promote Gambia. That's what we do. That's all what we do. If you look at 100% of our activities, it's all marketing and promotion. And of course, supporting in terms of product development in collaboration with the National Center for Arts and Culture. But I agree with you. If today, because I cannot wait to see when the World Bank will say, because we had a meeting with them and they made it very clear, there are some activities that are heavy that they will take on board. And trust me, the issue of CNN and Euronews and even BBC would be an agenda for us to discuss, even towards sports tourism. Because currently, I have so many proposals from the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Barcelona, but when you look at the overall cost, it's beyond our covers. So this is where if you have a grant,
Yeah, can you expand on this? I mean, how do you mean? Like these top Premier League teams, what offer do they have, or what do they want to work with?
no, no, because they want to work with us on brand exposure. For example, now, okay, I can give you example now. Just a week or two, we had a meeting with the agent for Real Madrid, and they gave us option. When we look at the proposal, I told them, well, the team, including myself, said it's a fantastic because we want to see Gambia. I mean, you go to Arsenal, you see visit Rwanda. We want to see visit the Gambia, of course. But if when we compare it, the cost was exorbitant. And we went forward and said, you know what? We will keep these proposals and we will go back to the World Bank and said, guys, this is a good way of exposing the Gambia. If they say they can support it, thank God. But I can tell you, we have all the big teams in the Premier League. We have all their proposals with us. But when you look at it vis-a-vis our affordability, it's always an issue. So we are keeping it, hopefully with the World Bank. I mean, we made it very clear that sports tourism is key. When you have that exposure, I mean, Ibrahim, how would you have feel if you see Welcome to the Smiling Coast with Real Madrid, PSG, for instance, Barcelona, Arsenal, Tottenham, to name a few. And we went further to ask them for different options. Some of them is not even desserts. So some of them, they're even willing to expose Gambia before the match starts, during break, and before the end of the game. So we managed to get a proposal that have different options. So when we are ready now with the World Bank, we'll tell, okay, if even option one doesn't fly, let's look at option B or C. But my wish is to see Gambia being exposed on these big stadiums where millions of people watch. It's just like when you make reference to CNN. It is the level of the exposure. But no matter how big CNN is, if you have an exposure of one of the best football league in the world, that goes beyond where the game is having. So, those are things that we have in mind. And I think we're working closely with our partners to make sure that that becomes a reality. And I'm sure you mentioned about also what other things do we do. We are also promoting sustainable tourism, eco camps, because sustainable tourism is now the order of the day, and Gambia has gone very far in terms of the respecting the blueprint of the sustainable tourism document. We even have a strategy on that. If you come to this country now, there are so many, if you go to the hinterland, so many eco camps that are environmental friendly. And even Gambians are now going to enjoy places like Apkas, Bintang Lloyd, to name a few. Governments are even coming now to create those things. But we want to show the whole world that it's not only the San Sea. No, we have passed that. Sustainable tourism is a very important factor for us. Eco camps are good things for us. Some hotels are even migrating from using high energy to even migrating now to even solar. It's all part of maintaining the sustainability of the environment.
So in the UK, what has been the feedback you've been getting from your counterparts in Europe or the Scandinavian countries, which have been a major source market for the Gambia?
I think they are very happy with the fact that we are working closely with them. I can give you example like now, as we speak, we have received a proposal of collaboration between Gambia Tourism Board and Gambia Experience. And I'm sure you are aware that Gambia Experience have just announced last month that they're going to have 25% increment of their load factor for the coming season compared to last year, which means the supply is increased because of the demand. And what that means is we expect more arrivals from Gambia Experience, which is 3 flights a week to Banjul. We have even gone further, even beyond that collaboration. Any activity we have, we always invite them to be part of us. Because when they are with us, there is that environment of ownership. Because when we are in the UK right now, everything that we do it in collaboration with our partners, both TUI and Gambia Experience. TUI will be flying 4 times a week to Banjul. And if I remember something right, I think the load factor projection is about 18,000. You understand?
What?
Yeah, 18,000 arrivals for TUI UK only, I mean.
18,000 tourists.
Yes, for air arrivals only on TUI. I did not mention about Gambia Experience. I think if my memory serves me right, Gambia Experience will be about 10 to 11,000 because they have 3 flights. TUI is having 4 flights. Currently, we also have a discussion with them at the highest level because we had a meeting with their CEO, the main man. And we had a meeting where the Minister of Tourism was there, myself, and the Director General. And we told the CEO that historically, the UK, for instance, before the collapse of Thomas Cook, they were flying almost every day. If you have TUI flying 4, Gambia Experience flying 3, we still believe that TUI or Gambia Experience should be able to increase another 2 flights a week because there's a demand. Currently, they are looking into that because we believe that with the 4 flights, if they can have almost every week 4 flights and it's full, the demand is there. So we're working closely with them to increase the capacity or the frequency. And as we speak also, I think just yesterday I received an email from TUI. We are telling them with their CEO to look into for them to start flying from Germany and Scandinavia. They said they're going to take it on board. We told them that we are ready as a board to do everything that we can to see that is a reality. Because I'm sure you're aware that in Germany, we used to have Condor in it, flying from Frankfurt to Banjul. Now, in Germany right now, as we speak, TUI is not bringing a flight. They're having a third party agreement with the likes of Lufthansa, the likes of Brussels Airlines, and the others. But that was started last year. But we are telling TUI, we don't only want only third party carrier. In other words, they will do the marketing, but they can feed their own passengers to any of these carriers. We are saying that we want to support a full-fledged charter flight. And currently it's at the second stage. So we're hoping that hopefully, if all things being equal, we might be able to get something before the season start. But yes, the discussion is actually ongoing. And the reason we were doing that, we have seen the importance of the Scandinavian markets and of course Germany. Because one, they are high spenders. And historically, as you are aware, Scandinavians started tourism in the country. So we have to do more to make sure that this becomes a reality. But it comes back to again, it's all about air access.
Yeah, let's talk about regional tourism. Um,
Mhm.
Concentration seems to be on the high spenders, that is Europe and the Americas. What
Mhm.
about within Africa? Look at Rwanda, for instance, you quoted earlier.
Mhm.
The revenue Rwanda generates from their baboon and wildlife is just enormous. I was amazed with the kind of money that they
Yep.
actually get from tourists visiting the baboons, in Rwanda. Uh,
Yep.
in the Gambia, why can't we also have something like that will promote the village in the Gambia? Because most of these tourists are coming from advanced or highly developed countries. So when it comes to high-rise buildings or infrastructure, they have seen it all. I mean, what is the Gambia doing to help? I mean, promote the village, the typical Gambian way of life, the original Gambian, lifestyle or food.
Yes, that's it. I mean, if you recollect my early statement, I mentioned about sustainable tourism. We are working closely with our partners to build sustainable environment establishment in the hinterland. That is why now, one of the good thing about those places, when they establish something in the hinterland, for instance, like you mentioned in the village, all their employment are from that area. They are not employing anybody from the city. So now, one of the things that we encourage everybody is like you mentioned, the tourists they don't just want to stay in the city; they want to go to the hinterland. And I'm happily proud to say that most of the establishments now in the hinterland are now coming to be 2 or 3 star standard, which is a great thing. But also, you have to be in mind, we are also working closely with them to market their product because their success story is ours. When you mentioned about domestic tourism, that's a good point. You know, domestic tourism is at the center of our strategy in this country, in the Gambia. That's why now, if you go to many places now, Gambians we are not going to places during weekends now. Now they take weekends to go with their families. Some of them go all the way to the Forges and beyond. You mentioned about sub-regional tourism. We are doing what we can. Okay, example is Nigeria now. I'm sure you are following stories about the 3 airlines that have now started flying to Gambia from Nigeria,
Mm,
the likes of Ibon Air and the others.
mm,
Because the reason is we believe, and I think this is very critical, is you see, Ibrahim, I think Ebola or COVID rather has taught us a lesson. And that's why, because we were too dependent on charter flights. And that's why when COVID hit us, everything went down from almost 300,000 to 89,000 AROs. That was the lowest we had. And we sat back as a country and as a board and said we have to invest on the domestic and sub-regional tourism. And that is why You can see now Nigerians have started flying to the Gambia. Just yesterday, Nanta completed their retreat in the Gambia. They've flown from Nigeria with their tourism experts and have their retreat in the country. And Nanta is an association of travel agencies in Nigeria. So activists have started coming that we need to focus a lot on the sub-region. And I agree with you. Because what the sub-region can give us now, even during the lean season, could even close the gap during the off-season. That is why we are actually, putting a lot of efforts. That's why we even have a representative, in Nigeria. We have a representative representing the Gambia in Nigeria. Senegal, we are working closely with our Senegalese counterparts. I'm sure you are aware of Colonel Vacances. It's very profitable for the Gambia. And Colonel Vacances, when Senegalese schools closes, they all come to Gambia. And that is a market we are really nurturing. So I can tell you that part of the new strategy that is yet to be validated, domestic and sub-regional tourism is at the center stage together with the diaspora market. And I think I can tell you, since we have the support with the World Bank, we will roll out all the activities that are identified in this document to make sure that it will yield dividend and be value for money.
What about the issue of collaborating with other agencies in the Gambia, still on making sure that you put measures that will ensure the safety of tourists and at all times? Because remember, as you are promoting product Gambia, the news will not be favorable or positive if certain incidents are continue repeating themselves, such as armed robbery, frequent armed robbery in the newspapers or in the mainstream media. What are you doing? I mean, what feedback do you usually have from tourists who will tell you that they had terrible experience in the Gambia?
No, I totally agree with you. Like I said, we always monitor both the positive and the negative feedbacks. Anytime we have something negative, we constantly engage. When it comes to security, like I said, we constantly engage through our ministry with the Ministry of Interior because they are the custodian of the security in the country. And even at our committee, we have UNWTO recommended committee that we set up that every 3 months we meet and look at our arrivals. And all these partners are in that committee. It is a committee when we meet every quarter, we discuss about arrivals. We also discuss about the challenges that we are hearing. So that when they go back, they filter it back to their authorities. Because our responsibility is to tell them this is what we are hearing, this is what is happening. Unless something is done at the macro level, we will lose our momentum in terms of increasing arrivals and safety of our guests that are coming to the country. I totally agree with you. But Ibrahim, I think for me, in terms of security, the onus is on the government to make sure there is zero tolerance of crime. Because it has no place in our country. It has no place in our country. And the safety of everybody is the interest for all of us. Is the interest of the executive, is the interest of the board. And I can tell you, there is constant meeting from the executive about the safety of the country, and tourism is not an exception. I think the government of the Gambia have seen the importance of tourism. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, sometimes we have this unfortunate incident. But in totality, I think Gambia is still a safe country. But I agree with you. We have to do more to make sure that these things shouldn't happen. Or even if it's going to happen, let it be once in a blue moon. It should not be something that is often. And the government is cognizant of that. And I can tell you, I remember the last time when I was listening to the president speech, he mentioned clearly he will do everything possible under his powers to make sure that crime is at the lowest. And I think that's a good thing. Crime should be eliminated because the moment you eliminate crime, like you mentioned earlier, investors will be happy. They will have confidence to come. But I mean, it's just like what you said, Ali Ibrahim. Some people call me and says, "Is Gambia safe?" It is safe, and the reason why they are saying that because, of course, they are seeing some isolated incidents, so they have right to ask us. But I always assure people that whenever you want to invest in the Gambia, you have the right people on the ground to support you all the way. The Gambia Tourism Board have a policy. We have a process. If you want to have a land and build a hotel in the Gambia, we have one-stop shop. We can always guide you to GAIPA. We have an MOU with GAIPA. It is a one-stop shop. To the extent that we work closely with GAIPA, that even there are some incentives that are given to investors, ranging from 5 to 8 years of incentives, repatriation of funds, etc. Waiving of taxes, if they are going to, bring things that are to be built in the Gambia. And the list can go on. So trust me, I agree with you. Security is vital. It's at the center stage of the government, and they know the importance of it. And I can tell you, they are not compromising with it.
Finally, what else do you like to say about investing in product Gambia and also diversifying your source market, such as the Americas? What prompted you to think about America now and not before?
America is a very important market for Gambia because studies have shown clearly that the diasporans have lots of disposable income. And the best place is for us to be at the center stage in the US market to encourage them to come to the Gambia. What I can tell them is whatever they need, we have a speedy process in terms of investment in tourism. Anything that they think that they want to come to do in Gambia, whether it's on the river Gambia, whether it's a build of a hotel, or whether they want to build a MICE conferencing center, whether they want to build something that is sustainable. When they come to the duty board, we will guide them through to the right authorities. But anything that has to do with tourism, we are gladly happy to make sure that they have, because America is critical to our success story, because there is a bond. When you talk of the diaspora market, there is a bond between their culture and our culture is the same. So we have to meet together to make sure that this is exposed. And I'm so happy there are so many top American diasporans who want to come to the Gambia. They are welcome to our country. They should not be scared. They are welcome to our country. And we will do everything as a board and as a ministry and as a government to make sure that they are treated expeditiously, to make sure that they leave home and come back to their home, which is the home. Gambia is the home of their ancestors. And they have rights. They have rights. It's their home of their ancestors. And nobody can take that away because history has already said it. There's a place for them there. We're encouraging, or there's a place for them in the Gambia. If they want to see real culture, where they came from, where the bond is, the Gambia is there waiting for them, without doubt. If they have any doubts, they can reach out to us as a board and we will guide them through until they achieve their aspiration to make sure that they are part of us and be part of the development of seeing success stories in the country. Not only to the development of the Gambia, but even helping employment and also supporting the locals who need support for their survival.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, Mr. Adama Njie from the GTB UK office, for talking to issues that matter.
Well, thank you very much, Ibrahim. And rest assured, you're free to contact us anytime. Our office is open for everybody. And my last word is, all of us as a Gambian, let's embrace the safety that we have in our country. If we take safety for granted, our future is not bright. Because if you talk about tourism, it's the safety of our nation. The reason why everybody's talking about us as the Somali Coast of Africa is our hospitality. And hospitality could be compromised if there is no safety. Let's embrace the safety of what we are known of. When we say the Somali Coast, anybody that comes to our country, when they leave their home, they should come and feel at home. GT board and the ministry and government cannot do it all. All of us as Gambians should be proud of being a Gambian. But we can only be proud of being a Gambian if we showcase what we have in terms of safety and embracing people that come to see our country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Njie.
The pleasure is all mine, Ibrahim. Cheers then. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.